Because the money doesn't mean anything for these people. You got to realize it's about the power and the control. The money doesn't mean anything. They can just print more money. It's not about the money. The zeros mean nothing. Really, it's just fictitious. Adapt 2030 Mini Ice Age Conversations covers changes in our climate due to a new and intensifying grand solar minimum. In the media, overlooking, downplaying, or burying cold weather changes occurring on our planet. This is in order to keep the global warming agenda steaming full speed ahead. I do this podcast and radio program because we need to begin conversations on how to adapt our food growing strategies long before 2030 as agricultural zones shift, affecting global crop output, but very few mainstream media outlets are talking about the most important issue of our time: cold weather crop losses. Our sun is going through a 400-year cycle, which has effects on our weather patterns as our magnetosphere weakens and the jet streams go out of flow. It's not CO2, it's not you, it's the sun. Are you ready to thrive in the Grand Solar Minimum? Then join me for Mini Ice Age Conversations. I'm your host, David DuByne. There used to be massive lakes up there, believe it or not. So when you take that super far step back and you take a look at the mesas, they're kind of out on they've chosen the perfect spot. So even if the water levels rose literally hundreds and hundreds of feet, they still would have been off the floor, flash flooding. They could have gone down into the ag zones. They could have come up and protected themselves. Everything was accessible by ladder. So what were they hiding from? Not only naturally, but predatory. And the way they place themselves, you really got to take the far wide look, not just super close at all the touristy photos show you, but step back and take a look at the mesa they built those things into. That was the key for me. Oh man, something way big happened back then. And archaeologists know it, and they're just not coming clean with what the true reasons that they would put themselves in such habitation. Because if you look around the planet, you see the same exact thing everywhere. China has cliff dwellings too. Lots of them. And they're 200 feet and above. So again, you got to think about back in the day, if supposedly the way the experts tell us they were just random hunter-gatherers, cave people with few skills other than sticks and dragging women by the hair back to their caves, living with skins. It's kind of the picture that they portray for us, these academics. Why would they go to the trouble to hollow out caves 200 foot off of a floor of, a canyon, a mountain? Why would they go so far up in there and spend the time and energy to do that? And again, Darren Yanku and these kind of super famous underground cities in Turkey, Cappadocia, which I visited. I really love that place. If you have a chance to get out there, I highly suggest Cappadocia in Turkey. Stunning. Okay, Cappadocia, the tourist ruins, there's a lot of stuff out there for the average traveler to go and take the Instagram photos. Cool. But it's really when you get out of that area that you start to realize how vast the area is and how vast the underground habitations are. Because those cities connected underground 15 miles. And they just even found a couple new cities. Well, the kids knew they were there because they played in them, but now archaeologists found them. We have also, when you take a look up into Göbekli Tepe, that's the famous ruins that you know of, but the town 12 miles away is where they find stuff. Every time they try to build a building, they run into more ruins 12 miles away. So this is a global phenomenon of digging in or protecting yourself under cliff faces. The dolmens, there were millions and millions and millions of dolmens. Those are the small little huts made of rock that people would hide under for some reason. And you wonder why millions of them were built. It makes no sense. Why would you spend your time lifting a multi-ton block in place when you're supposed to be chasing a deer or something, according to the experts? What went on back then? And can we find it? So at least a 1,000-year rainfall pattern is returning to the New Mexico area. That's what's happening now. That's why it's so wet and so much record snow across Arizona and New Mexico last year. And Colorado, the snowpack, which is incredible. And speaking of cycles, my new book with my co-author Bill Porter, Climate Revolution, a must-read for understanding our sun-driven climate. As we progress deeper into this new Eddy Grand Solar Minimum, weather extremes leading to global food scarcity and higher food prices are here now. This book describes the expected changes, how to survive and thrive during future challenging times, and also practical preparations. The entire book is interactive with over 250 links, so you can click and go out to the scientific aspect of what we're talking about with the repeating cycles in this Grand Solar Minimum. The science is explained so you understand the mechanisms. The solutions are there because we know we're going to face these exact same problems again that were faced in the Maunder Minimum, the Sporer Minimum, the Wolf Minimum. Find designs for building greenhouses, grow guides, beam soil techniques, as well as bioreactors to create your own growth hormones for the soil. Available now, the new Adapt 2030 Climate Revolution. The link's in the description box below. I wanted to read you a little something here from Lloyd Martin Hyundai, projecting the near-term reversion to ice time. So he starts off talking about Valentina Zarkova and the solar magnetic fields, which I am so much into. Solar cycle 25, we are going off the cliff into cooling. And I tell you, our global agriculture, in my personal opinion, is going to be greatly affected. It's going to rip the threads of our society apart unless you're prepared for it. And you have your own means for food, storage, backup. You know how to produce your own food, grow your own food, store your own food. You know how to protect that food, and then you learn how to trade that with other people. Now, our economy is still going to be rolling. It's not going to go to zero. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about food and the closure of factories and the closure of businesses and the constriction and contraction and also lockup of our delivery systems just in time based on credit, which won't be there. Think 2009 times 100. Things are going to re-evolve. It's going to lock in the beginning, but as always, we're ingenious individuals out here. Our species is quite ingenious. We're going to continue forward. Cryptocurrency, we're going to continue forward with smart contracts for deliveries. We're in the transition period now. The new delivery system that will emerge out of this, my personal opinion, we're going to be running smart contracts for all of the delivery moving forward. Letters of credit will be a distant dinosaur. We are going to move into Ethereum-based, blockchain, smart contracts for delivery as any types of coins transit from wallet to wallet. That will unlock the next phase of the delivery. And I also envision all the shipping documents being put on the blockchain so we don't have to send them anymore. Forget FedEx. We will not need it anymore to put all these shipping documents. If I can guarantee authenticity on the blockchain, unaltered, delivered to you in an electronic form, and we're using cryptocurrency and it's executing on the smart contract, every time something else executes and the next step takes place, shipping agents, Rotterdam port's already gone fully blockchain. You can see the unveiling of Facebook, and I want to talk about that for a second here, this Libra coin. The transition is in play now. See, they need Facebook to build the global awareness. Because your average person just doesn't know much about crypto. They might have heard of Bitcoin, they heard it's a scam, they heard some whatever about it, but majority of the planet still is very unaware of what this technology is and how it works. They're only hearing scammy Bitcoin. If you talk to somebody and they know very little to almost nothing about blockchain technology, they'll maybe know the word Bitcoin and they'll go, oh, isn't that a scam? And that's what you hear repeatedly. But see, that was what they wanted fed to the populace in the beginning of the crypto bubble 1.0, but we're getting into the 2.0 and real usage and utilization here right now. The transition has begun, and it's quirky, the timeline as we get into the food crop losses, the movement and technology advances in smart contracts and deliveries in speed using Stellar and different types of coins now that are instantly deliverable. Litecoin's slow compared to Stellar. Sheesh. We're talking about old grandma, 90 years old, walking with a cane, Litecoin, and then Stellar comes in seconds. And especially if you're wallet to wallet and you're both using the same kind of crypto, then you could have your interpayments. Like look at Rotterdam Port, like I say, go back to the shipping, they're already taking care of that. The initial uses for blockchain, a lot of them were developed in-house for banking, finance, insurance, shipping. They also how it could be transitioned from paper over into the unaltered blockchain. Once it's on there, you're not coming off, you're not altering that. That's why I put a lot of my stuff up on steemit.com/adapt2030. Steemit. Every video I do, I actually take the time to take the pictures out, get the transcript of the video, put it together and make a PDF of it, and then load it into Steemit so this information will not be forgotten. Because in the future, they're going to try to rewrite the past. And I will not let that happen if I have a chance to, and I do have the chance to. I'm putting all my stuff on the blockchain. Mines, steam it. Now I'm starting to work with a little bit in Solidity here, because you can use Ethereum itself to save documents in Ethereum. If you have the address, you can save your own documents in the Ethereum blockchain. This is my next step, is I'm starting to learn how to do this so then I can save those same PDFs inside the Ethereum blockchain. For you all, 20 years from now, you know they're going to try to rewrite the past. You know they're going to try to rewrite it and say, well, yeah, we knew it was all coming. See, the IPCC warned everybody that the cold was coming. Duh, yeah, right. See, there won't be enough people around at that time to really dispute it or know what happened during this transition right now. These next 3 to 4 years, we're going to lose a lot of data. We're going to lose a lot of data. There's going to be a lot of financial shakes, population decline. In the world, we're going to get shaken into a new world. So a lot of this old stuff, people will forget the past so quickly. Think of yourself about 20 years ago. Tell me news headlines from, can you remember exactly what happened in the year 2000? Tell me everything that happened that year. Tell me month by month what happened. It's only 20 years ago during very stable times. So imagine what was lost in World War II with all the bombings. Imagine how many documents were lost. Imagine how much history was lost in World War II. Like from 1930 to 1950, what was lost in that transition period? The same exact thing is going to happen right now. We're going from, say 2018 to 2038. Like we're going to lose even more because a lot of it's electronic now, not written paper. And in World War II, that was a lot of paper stuff. Very hardy, very, top quality materials that things were written on to back then. Lost. Can you imagine how fragile we are now? Imagine a CME coming through, wiping out all of our electronics. But if it's up on the blockchain, a lot of facilities are hardened. That thing not going down. Ethereum, not going down. For sure not. Steam it, probably not. Some smaller networks, probably. But the big ones are going to stay up. Sure, Ripple's going to stay up because that's the banker coin. Bitcoin's staying up. That's going to be $10 million coin 2023 or 4. You might laugh. Haha, yeah. I encourage you to watch this free movie on YouTube. It's called $10 Million Bitcoin Endgame. I highly encourage you to watch it. Like every financier and every business person, governments are all talking about how this is going to be the medium of exchange for sovereign settlements. And that just means country-to-country bank payments. And they're pegging it at 10 million. So what this person did is he took all these famous people that he ever heard talk about Bitcoin and then just pretty much put it in an order. For 45 minutes, you're going to hear the best, the brightest, the richest, the most powerful people on the planet talk about Bitcoin going to $10 million. All of them. All of them. It is the most eye-opening, wow, kind of, at the end of it, whew, hair stands up on the back of your neck like, what is the opportunity in this? You mean we hold this thing for a few more years and it's 10 million bucks? That's generational wealth from one coin, from one Bitcoin. Generational wealth. Your grandchildren have money. So I digress. Back to the whole reason I started that tangent there was Zarkova's work. It starts now, 2020. So we're going to go through this massive transition period. We're going to get massive shakeups economically. And again, the transition is happening in front of your eyes. Why is Facebook now coming out with the Libra coin? Why are the governments making such a stink about it on purpose across every news media? Can't have it. Don't let them. They're just creating awareness. They're doing free marketing for you to get on board. Because the money doesn't mean anything for these people. You got to realize it's about the power and the control. The money doesn't mean anything. They can just print more money. It's not about the money. The zeros mean nothing. Really, it's just fictitious. And when I say them, I'm talking about these central bankers at higher levels, the ones that are actually in control of the planet and the governments behind the scenes that you don't really see too much in meetings. They occasionally slip out and then they slip back in. They're definitely not public figures, but they're really pulling the strings behind. Money means nothing. They use the money for the power and the wealth. They've already accrued pretty much all the planet's wealth. There's nothing else to get except the control and the power and the movement to the new money system. TrueLeafMarket.com. I really want to talk about growing your own food, which will be a necessity moving forward. There's so many ways that we can go about growing different types of vegetables that we're going to need. Microgreens are incredibly nutritious. They're super fast to grow. In less than a week, you can have something that you can eat. Also, sprouts. We can get those a little bit taller, a little more dense, a little bit larger volume on the vegetation mass coming off of there. So how do you know what kind of sprouts to grow? How about wheatgrass or herbs? What about different types of herbs that we can add to our foods? Now, what I just described to you, there's a full range of starter guides there at trueleafmarket.com for you to take a look at. Even if it's just for your own knowledge and you don't purchase something from them, at least get the information so you know how to grow microgreens, you know how to grow sprouts, you understand what some of the herbs are for. trueleafmarket.com. Use the link below and give yourself the gift of organic and heirloom seeds. Now, if we can get the movement to the new monetary system and they're already in control of that, that's where they want you to be. And if you think crypto is like fully decentralized, I'm sorry, it's not. There's definitely centralized control and there's definitely mechanisms in there to try to maintain control. Don't delude yourself. Especially if you're looking at Ripple and different types of government oversight. You think these exchanges are running free? Why do they try to shut down anonymity coins where you can trade, nobody knows who you are, nobody knows? Why do they try to shut down decentralized exchanges? Why do they keep going on that route? Why can't we have a decentralized exchange? Nobody controls it. It operates by itself. No governments can shut it down. Why do they want to shut those down? Oh, we don't know where the funds are going. Oh, okay. What about DAI, make or die? Decentralized, crypto collateralized. Oh, they don't like that either. So they're trying to get you to move into the new money system. So the whole movement is happening right now. And we're really into this like first gigantic awareness phase of movement. That's why Facebook is helping out. And all the governments can now jump in on their news feeds too and go, hey, don't do it. Now we got a lot of awareness. Now think about the transition here. The amount of people that knew what cryptocurrency was before the Libra white paper released compared to today, what do you think the awareness generation percentage-wise is higher than? News releases, Facebook coin, every government on the world scrambling saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. What do you think the awareness raising of it is? Like people going, oh, what's this thing? Facebook's got to be a crypto. I don't know. Facebook must be something new. I got to get it because Facebook has it. Oh, you mean it's a new way we can buy and sell and trade stuff with no fees on Facebook? Oh, I hate credit card companies anyway. I want to use that new coin. I don't know anybody that loves banks except bankers. Who do you know that likes banks? So any way that people can get away from the banks, give the finger to the banks, they're going to go for it. And if Facebook offers them an opportunity, hey, it's a stable coin, it's $1 for $1, it doesn't change, it's collateralized, a dollar's a dollar, and you can keep your money here, you can buy stuff here, and you don't have to use the banks and we have a full transaction record of your coins, so you're never going to lose them. People are going to move over to that. I guarantee you're going to have 1 billion people get out of the bank system and move into the Libra coin. I guarantee in the future it'll be authorized by the governments and everybody will approve it. Not this year, not next year, but 2021 is my call. Because that's when the full awareness, everybody wakes up to this grand solar minimum food crop loss thing. The economy will be so shrinking and contracting by then anyway with just food price rises and crazy stuff going on. 2021 forward is going to be the transition into crypto. Globally, we're going to use it. That'll be our new medium of money. And, I want to come back to the article here. It talks about the movement over from cooler to warmer temperatures, the atmospheric pressure and the atmospheric density. This is where the planes are having problems. What used to be less dense, very low pressure air they were flying through, now because of some compression in our atmosphere, those layers are now becoming much denser. That's why there's so much turbulence, even cruising at 35,000 feet. It is turbulent. It's like you're flying down at 15. There is going to be an enormous amount of atmospheric pressure differences, skewed by the 1,200-year younger Dryas cold shock from 10,950 to 9,450 BC. Oh, I said before present. It would be 12,000 years ago, 12,250 years ago. This mid-Holocene interglacial epoch warm period, they're finding correlations on the 1,350-year mark with Kamchatka stratovolcano eruptions and little ice age plunges in temperature. And you know what happened? Hey, we just got one of those big Kamchatka Peninsula eruptions that I talked about in the beginning of the program. And that makes sense why the planet's starting to cool in certain regional areas, because they're starting to map it out here. 1,350 years. All right, so we're back into a 1,350-year volcanic cycle in Kamchatka Peninsula. 1,000-year rain repeating cycle at the minimum in the desert Southwest. So you're starting to see these really long time frame map ups now. So it's starting to happen everywhere. Can you really pinpoint is it a 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 6,000 year cycle or 2,000 year cycle? As they predict, there's going to be one more eruption in Kambani when this happens here. This Kamchatka Peninsula starting to go off. So they're predicting next a Kambani eruption, and that should precipitate a 500-year little ice age plunging cooling in weeks. If you see Kambani go off, temperatures across the northern hemisphere are going to plunge in a month. Now they're talking about being on the threshold of a 70-year grand solar minimum period that's going to usher in cooling anyway. They're talking about equivalent drops in temperature globally from 1645 to 1715. We're about to repeat that right now. We already started. It's just going to intensify from 2020 forward to 2036. So we're going to see the same exact temperature drops of a full-on 1.5 degrees Celsius drop with volcanic ash. In certain regional areas, we'll get way cooler, up to 3-4 C cooler. Some areas like Alaska are going to get warmer, by the way. So they keep talking about global warming in Alaska. It got warmer in the last grand solar minimum. So what they're talking about as they move forward, there's mounting evidence projects geologically near-term reversion to a cyclical Pleistocene ice time, where 70% of Earth's covered masses will cool, and noticeably cooler that will affect agricultural production. That's scary right there. That's a scary, scary article to read here. So if Kambani goes off, which they're predicting, then game on. 70% of our globe, the agriculture will no longer fit for what we're growing. We're going to have to move our crops into new grow zones, present new plants, new species into different hardiness zones that grow somewhere else colder. We're going to have to bring it further south. We saw the first of the major eruptions in Kamchatka. That's actually responsible, in my opinion, for the cooling that's happening across the northern hemisphere right now. So they're pegging at least one of these volcanoes in the past, Kambani, as the precursor for a 500-year cool period. So we got another one already acting in play. So what happens next? That's the whole question here. Huge floods in Siberia. 4,000 buildings destroyed. Again, they talk about atmospheric disturbances and jet streams collapsing on each other. They call it a river from the sky, a literal river from the sky. 10,000 homes flooded, 33,000 people evacuated, 4,000 buildings destroyed. Where did that come from? Everything seems to be amplifying at the moment. And then the last article I'm going to chime off here as we get toward the end of the hour. I thank you for listening. David DuByne here, Mini Ice Age Conversations. FreedomSlips.com, Revolution Radio, Studio A. Electroverse with this last article today. Persistent worldwide cold brings serious breadbasket concerns. Again, they're repeating some of the same stuff I have, saying the world's biggest breadbaskets are struggling. Now, East Asia, the vegetable prices are unseasonably high, and I will actually attest to that. Duck eggs, goose eggs, and chicken eggs have risen in price almost 50%, and the eggs have almost doubled in price. And it used to be 10 in a box, now it's only 8, but you pay 70% more for 2 less eggs. And so I'm actually moving over to goose eggs and duck eggs because they're a little bit cheaper than chicken eggs now. But China vegetable prices see unusually seasonal decline in production and massive price spikes. And that goes back to the 46% increase in terms of what the Chinese are paying. Now you've seen a lot of cold anomalies straight over the grow zones there. Now the JMA, that's the Japan Meteorological Association, warning of lower average temperatures across Japan and Korea and central China. Canadian prairies, oh my, looking at 15 to 20 Fahrenheit below normal temperature there. Grand solar minimums here. I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye. This video is brought to you by our friends at TrueLeafMarket.com. Heirloom and organic seeds for any grow zone on our planet.